Vastaamo, the cutting-edge psychotherapy service that had helped tens of thousands of people across Finland, was once a national success story. But it had gone horribly wrong. Now, in October 2020, a faceless hacker, Ransom Man, held all their patients' secrets in his hands, and he seemed determined to exploit them. He was releasing therapy notes in batches of 100 every day, containing the most intimate details of people's lives. No one knew who Ransom Man was. Henrik Karkanen, a tech reporter on Finland's most widely read newspaper, first broke the story of the hack. The news was spreading across the country. So was the panic. Now Henrik found himself in the strange position of being in direct contact with Ransom Man himself.
Hello, I've seen your article regarding the Vastaamo incident. I represent the group responsible. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Why did he want you involved?
I asked him that exact question.
When the hacker replied, he was unapologetic.
It is in our interests to get the full story out there. Vastaamo has had the opportunity to prevent the release of this data, but so far they've been unwilling.
He'd been pushed into releasing the therapy notes, he said, because Vastaamo had stopped responding to his ransom demands.
He was completely deflective to all the questions. We believe Vastaamo deserves at least as much blame as we do. They f***ed up and then they f***ed up again.
Are you censoring the F word there?
I was censoring that.
Finland is not a huge population.
Smaller than London.
Tens of thousands of people use this service. Do you think it's fair to say that most people know someone or know someone who used Vastaamo?
Definitely so, and that's why it became such a big national trauma.
Ransom Man was using secrets to torture an entire nation. It had become a race against time to try to stop him before he could cause any more harm. I'm Jenny Kleeman, and from BBC Radio 4 and Intrigue, this is Ransom Man. Episode 2. Whoopsie, smiley face.
This is the news desk.
I'm with Henrik in the HQ of his newspaper, Ilta-Sanomat. It's next to Helsinki's Central Library, on the 7th floor of a glass building overlooking the heart of the city.
And that's the Parliament House.
Oh, wow.
He's wearing a heavy metal T-shirt. His grey hair is pulled back into a low ponytail. In the open plan office, Henrik's desk stands out. Every surface is covered with empty cans of Monster. There are at least 30 of them, piled in high towers.
I have a bit of an energy drink addiction.
Oh my goodness. Do you collect the cans or is that just a day's drinking?
Well, the thing is that if I buy more, there's going to be overflow, so I need to take the surplus to the shop.
Like Henrik's desk, Finland is a place of extremes. It's the happiest country on earth, but it has more heavy metal bands per capita than any other nation. In the far north, for a few days around the winter solstice, the sun does not rise at all.
Living here, I don't know, it sounds funny that we are the happiest country in the world, but at the same time, there's a pessimistic attitude going through the nation. And the thing is that when you expect something bad to happen and it doesn't, you turn out to be happy almost every day.
So Finnish pessimism is leading you to be happy.
Well, that's my theory.
And if you were to describe what Finnish people were like, how would you do it?
I would say reserved, and then a bit shy about being active in conversation or beginning a conversation.
In a country of awkward conversations, Henrik, a newspaper reporter, had to work out how best to communicate with the hacker who was exposing this very reserved nation's most private thoughts.
I started exchanging emails with him, asking detailed questions and also hard questions. My question was that you are held responsible if and when this action causes suicides or other forms of extreme outcome. And his answer was, legally doubt it, morally maybe, ?
While Henrik was exchanging quick-fire messages with Ransom Man, Vastaamo patients across Finland were learning about what was happening. that therapy notes were being released for all to see, and that they could be next. Meri-Tuuli heard about the hack the day after the first 100 records were released. She'd used Vastaamo a few years previously.
I saw the news that there's been data breach at the psychotherapy center. I just knew immediately. I knew that it was Vastaamo. I just said, well, shit.
Meri-Tuuli is 30. She lives alone in a small flat in a nondescript apartment block on the outskirts of Helsinki. But don't be fooled by outward appearances.
There's a kind of Barbie thing going on.
Inside, her home is a riot of pink and glitter.
As you can guess, yes, I love the Barbie movie. Yes, I do have a Barbie tattoo.
Do you?
Right, I do.
Over tea, served in Moomin mugs at her kitchen table, Meri-Tuuli tells me how she, too, shouldn't be judged by how she appears at first glance. She might seem cheery and outgoing, but she's struggled with depression for most of her adult life.
My biggest fear has always been that people don't like me. That I am fundamentally different to other people, and that fundamental difference, it's something wrong.
That's amazing because you do appear to be such a confident, outgoing person.
Yeah, I love being around people, but it's like when I get that inkling that maybe they all think I'm full of shit and stupid and ugly, and my life is like a continuum of mistakes and bad decisions.
Meri-Tuuli found her therapist by browsing the profiles on Vastaamo's website.
He looked like approachable in the picture. I was desperate to get someone to listen to me.
How personal did it get?
Very, very personal.
Over several years, Meri-Tuuli had confided in her therapist about her mental health struggles, her binge drinking, and a relationship with a much older man that she had kept secret from her family. When she heard the news that some people's therapy notes had been exposed on the dark web, she felt compelled to see if hers were among them.
I had never used the dark web before, but I was thinking to myself, like, I just have to see if my records are already there. I went there and opened them just to see the names of the people. And my name was not included in that list, so I closed the files and didn't read any records myself.
You didn't read anyone's therapy notes?
But of course, some people there had already picked, like, to their opinion, like the funniest parts from the patient records, laughing at these people's misery and problems. I think a child around 10 years old had gone to therapy for something, and the people found it funny.
In the darkest parts of the internet, Meri-Tuuli saw some of the worst of humanity.
There were people who wrote like, well, there's going to be a lot of traffic on the train tracks tomorrow, implying that there's going to be a lot of suicides ahead. That
and
was
people were
miserable.
joking about it.
People were joking about it, yeah.
So how did this happen? How did a multi-million-dollar company trusted by the Finnish state to provide mental health care end up at the mercy of an anonymous hacker?
Our society is almost fully digitalized.
So we're moving into a fully digital world, and Finland is a kind of exemplar of being very forward-thinking as a fully digital society.
A test lab, if you will, yes.
If Finland is a test lab for the rest of the world, then so is this story. It shows the risks and benefits of using digital technology to make therapy accessible.
It was really a case in point in how vulnerable a digital society can be. Up until the Vastaamo incident, very few people had thought about the real risks.
For over a year, I've been trying to speak to someone from Vastaamo. We reached out to more than 60 therapists and staff who used to work there. None of them was willing to give us an interview. Vastaamo's former CEO, Ville Tapio, declined, saying he no longer trusts journalists and doesn't want to prolong victims' trauma by giving the hacker more public attention. The company was founded in 2008 by Ville Tapio and his mother, Nina, a psychotherapist. The Tapios had big ambitions for Vastaamo. they wanted to roll out mental health care even to the farthest reaches of Finland. It began with remote, virtual therapy, a groundbreaking idea back then. But they soon realised there was an appetite for traditional face-to-face sessions too, so they started opening clinics under the Vastaamo brand. By 2018, they had a network of nearly 20 clinics across Finland, employing more than 200 psychotherapists and psychiatrists. Ville Tapio appeared to have created a thriving business that was also a force for good. As well as a great story, Vastaamo had an accessible, intuitive digital interface, which patients liked. It was subsidised by the Finnish national healthcare system, so it was affordable. Therapists liked Vastaamo too. They didn't have to worry about doing their own marketing or billing. Vastaamo would take care of it all. There was even a convenient behind-the-scenes platform where they could make and store all their patient notes. But behind Vastaamo's slick digital interface, there were fatal flaws. Antti Kuritu is the cybersecurity specialist Ville Tapio called after Vastaamo received the first ransom demand. But as soon as he looked at Vastaamo's computer network, he discovered some serious issues.
Based on our technical review of the server, I would say that it felt more like a hobbyist's home server. It seemed like the administrators had not paid really any attention to securing the server to the degree that I would have felt comfortable with had I been in custody of this kind of information.
When Antti explains just how careless Vastaamo had been, my jaw drops.
The database access was exposed to the internet, not limited by a firewall at any stage. And probably the most grievous was that the main master account was not secured with a password. It was secured with a blank password, which means that you can just press enter to get in. And this allowed the database basically to be accessible by anyone at any time from any location on Earth who just happened to stumble upon it.
Ville Tapio has contested this account, saying that the system had strong authentication that restricted database access to only authorised users and didn't allow password-free network logins. He's also said that the patient data was encrypted to the standard required by law. Still, the patient records were accessible. The door to Vastaamo had pretty much been left wide open. Antti's view on this is pretty clear.
This is rudimentary information security. It just felt like rank amateur mistake that shouldn't have happened with this kind of data.
As soon as Antti began investigating the hack, it became clear to him that Vastaamo hadn't been specifically targeted.
It was obvious to me that that was the result of scanning activity, trying to find open databases and possibly any kind of information that could be monetized. I think they just tried a bunch of bank vaults to see which ones were open, and they just happened to stumble in this one, steal the data, and later when counting their treasure, they realized what they had and tried to opportunistically then attack Vastaamo with this extortion attack.
Antti's hunch that the hacker simply stumbled upon an open bank vault and stole the treasure inside seems to be right. In his emails to Henrik, the tech reporter, Ransom Man said he never specifically set out to target Vastaamo.
His claim was that the gates were open. He was mocking the security, the passwords, and the whole company was being hacked by a robot without putting in much effort. And when he realized that there might be some worth in that, he started the extortion thing.
And while a robot may have been searching for poorly secured databases, it was definitely a human being who, 3 weeks after first contacting Vastaamo, was now ramping up the pressure by cherry-picking patient records to leak in batches of 100.
Did you get the impression he was doing this for money?
Yes, definitely so. And then also being ruthless in what he was doing with no concern to human suffering whatsoever.
The hours ticked by. Patient records continued to spread across the web, and Vastaamo still wasn't paying. neither Ransom Man nor his target were backing down.
Finns are a bit of a belligerent bunch. We're not known for paying ransom quietly or easily, which I take great national pride in. Of course, we don't pay whatever it takes.
While none of the dozens of people who used to work at Vastaamo agreed to give us an interview, I had a background chat with a consultant who worked there in 2020. He told me that once news of the hack became public, everything went crazy behind the scenes. It was all hands on deck. Anyone with any technical know-how was made to work on network security through the night and over the weekend, even though the damage was already done. He remembers some staff becoming ill from all the pressure. When Ransom Man started systematically releasing the patient records, all Antti's team could do was keep a close eye on his online activities, using bespoke software to scrape the web for new posts.
We were watching it in real time. It was difficult to believe. Our scraper was running on the website that was publishing these patient records 100 at a time every day, and it had been running for like 3 days, and a set of like 300 patient files were already published.
Like clockwork, the posts came. The intimate secrets of 100 people exposed every 24 hours for 3 days, until, on the 23rd of October 2020, something unexpected happened.
So, on the third day, my threat intelligence guy called me and said, "You'll never believe what the scraper caught."
What did you find?
We found, unfortunately, all of the patient files.
At 2 a.m. on the 23rd of October, Ransom Man uploaded a much larger file. It contained every record of every single patient on Vastaamo's database. All of the files, all the most private thoughts that tens of thousands of people had confided in their therapist, published for free for everyone in the world to see. Everyone's therapy notes, dumped online.
Of course, as we had a copy of this information now from the public internet, that meant that an untold number of others also had this copy. There was no way of preventing this anymore.
The pressure cooker everyone had been trying to contain had suddenly exploded. For Vastaamo's patients, it was too late. Everything was out there, exposed. What sort of person would drip feed a sample of the hacked records over 3 days and then just release everything he had? And why?
I don't know what kind of people you would have to be in order to publish people's personal information of 30,000 people just for the laughs. You just don't.
It was only at this point, a matter of hours after the full database was released online, that emails began arriving in individual inboxes demanding Bitcoin directly from Vastaamo's customers.
It was in the junk mail folder. Give us money or we will publish everything we have about you for everyone to see.
Meri-Tuuli had been relieved when she couldn't find her notes among the first batch released onto the dark web. Now she was being emailed directly by the hacker and told to pay up. But it was a trick. Her therapy notes had already been published. Once she realised what had happened, Meri-Tuuli's bright, colourful home became a kind of prison.
The fear set in. I took a sick leave from work. I was crying. I was feeling very vulnerable. Everything came back to me. I closed myself at home, didn't want to leave. I didn't want people to see me.
Did it help to know that you weren't the only victim, or did that make you feel like you had less of a right to be outraged?
It might sound individualistic and selfish to say, but what do all the other 30,000 people matter when this happened to me?
Yeah.
Tina, the head teacher we met in the last episode, felt the same.
Everybody knew somebody who was part of Vastaamo. And that's why it raised so much discussion. But then again, when there are tens of thousands of people, then you very easily forget what is there on the individual level.
No two victims had the same story or reacted in the same way, but they all had one thing in common. They had been exposed and violated.
Some people might have been very relaxed about it, like, okay, well, who cares if my patient records are out there? And then there are people who have killed themselves.
The numbers aren't clear, but we know of at least 2 people who took their lives after learning they were victims. The harm caused by Ransom Man was immeasurable, and his attempts to get a big ransom were a total failure. The biggest failure, of course, was Vastaamo's.
It became so huge that they couldn't control the narrative because the public outrage was so big. No crisis management manual could help you there.
The day after the entire database of patient records was dumped online, Vastaamo's board announced that they had parted company with the CEO, Ville Tapio. Vastaamo apologised on Facebook. They claimed they were working to inform customers whose notes had been leaked. They even offered victims a free conversation with a therapist. This did not go down well. Vomit emojis filled the replies.
The first email I got from Vastaamo was like worth of a sack of shit. Like they were basically sorry that you feel sorry, sort of.
They told the media first and not us, their customers. And I think that was really, really outrageous.
There was no suspect at the time, and there was only one person whose name came popping out in the public, and that was Ville Tapio, the CEO of the company that had been hacked.
The only name the public had to latch onto was Ville Tapio's, even though at this point he was no longer CEO. The criminal behind the hack was still anonymous. But if you looked closely enough, you could find clues about who it might be. I've seen some of the emails exchanged with Ransom Man. They're redacted, so I can't tell you exactly who sent them from the Vastaamo side. But at one point, someone from the Vastaamo side of negotiations writes, in Finnish, "This shit is unbearable. You're taking away everything. There is no tomorrow." The hacker's response? Please write in English. Not only was Ransom Man incredibly cold, he also wasn't Finnish. Or so he wanted everyone to believe. But Antti, the cybercrime investigator and former detective, saw things differently.
Whoever was handling this database is able to read what's there without using translation services, because just going through this trove of data by copy-pasting it to Google Translate is not feasible.
Whoever it was knew which Finnish names to flaunt from the patient records, and he knew where to flaunt them, in forums that are popular with Finnish people.
He had this weird thing that they were partly a group of people and then also referring to themselves in the singular. I felt like this is probably not a professional group because they made this thing public in such a weird way. It seemed like something else. So putting all of these together, it just gave me a hunch that this person is at least intimately familiar with the Finnish internet scene. And then based on that, I guessed that it's a Finn.
And there was something else, something I haven't yet mentioned, something that would hold the key to this case. Ransom Man had made a fatal mistake. That final dump of all the data, it didn't just contain the database of Vastaamo's patient records. There was so much more. Alongside all the patient files, Ransom Man had also posted the entire contents of his home folder. A treasure trove of information about his computer and everything he had been doing on it. It began to look like Ransom Man had screwed up massively. "You leaked your home folder, dude," someone wrote under Ransom Man's final post on the dark web. Whoopsie, smiley face, the hacker replied. And then he disappeared.
We found a glimpse of what it looks like when a hacker is on a server and then uses his tools and techniques, a collection of his files.
You said this didn't look like a professional cyber attack, it looked like something else. What do you mean by that? What was the something else?
It had that, that sort of chaotic, passionate hobby feeling to it. It didn't feel like somebody going to work. Doing investigations on people's computers, there's a sort of a way that people arrange their digital lives. So the level of disorganization, there was a bit of an air of mania around it. After spending several evenings with the Vastaamo.tar file, I had the feeling that I've actually seen this kind of thing before.
An air of mania and a sense of déjà vu. Whoever Ransom Man was, he was no run-of-the-mill jobbing cybercriminal, and he was someone Antti recognised. There was something about the childish way Ransom Man chose file names that felt strangely familiar to him.
There was a shortness and crudeness to them. It was just like a quick burst of typing to name a file instead of actually thinking that I need to remember what's in this file later. And there was the name of the folder that held all the patient data. That was therapist. It was just a childish play on words.
Therapist as in Pissed?
Yes. You get a feeling.
A feeling. One that suddenly transported Antti back to 2013, when he was a senior detective constable at the Helsinki police, looking at the files on a computer he'd seized from a 16-year-old boy.
The feeling I got years earlier.
A boy who'd already been involved in some of the most audacious hacks the world had ever seen.
It just made me think of Kivimäki. Julius Kivimäki.
In December 2025, the Finnish Court of Appeal ruled that neither the GDPR nor the applicable Finnish healthcare legislation required encryption or pseudonymisation of patient data at the time in question. The court found there was no clear legal requirement at the time obliging Ville Tapio, as CEO, to take specific security measures, and his conduct in relation to the breach did not amount to criminal negligence. Ransom Man is written and presented by me, Jenny Kleeman. The producer is Sam Peach. The executive producer is Georgia Catt. The commissioner is Dan Clark, and the commissioning executive is Tracy Williams. Sound design by Sam Peach. Original music for the series was composed, performed and produced by Echo Collective. It's a BBC Studios production for BBC Radio 4.